Okay, daily sketch 14 for our painting class. Somebody submitted a bunch of these different eyes. So, I don't know, we're trying to get as many done as we can. We don't want to take too much time. Just the one thing you want to be careful about when you're doing eyes, these are eyes with different expressions, is just getting that shape correct. Everybody's eye shape is a little different, but basically you have, some people call it a lemon shape, a football shape. And so what I'm going to do when I'm looking at these eyes is follow that same rule of football or lemon shape, but then I'm going to really pay attention to the angle of this upper lid and then how far down these angles on the lower lid and how big that eye is. So I'm just going to draw, I'll start with 3 sets and see how fast we can get those done. Really pay attention to the distance in between. Usually you have like an eyeball's distance in between. If you do it too close, it tends to make the eyes look cross-eyed. If you do it too far away, it tends to look alienish. So if that's the look you're going for, great. If it's not, pay attention to that. The second set of eyes are quite large because they're startled. These are different expressions, like I said. So, and it looks like these are female eyes because there's some thick eyeliner going on. These ones are like questioning you kind of eyes. So this one's barely open. And then these are the kind of eyes a teacher has, right? When you're like, ask a funny question. We're like, no dumb questions, but I'm not quite sure what's going on here. Okay, we'll just start with these 3. You know, if you guys want to go past that and do the other ones, that's fine. I always like to start with the shape of the eye, and then we have the iris. And the iris, you know, it's a full circle that goes beyond the lid. And so I want to make sure it's big enough that the distance between the lower lid and the iris is correct. Sometimes I'll draw the initial shape of the eye too big and I need to adjust that, and that's fine. Just don't make the iris too small and then you have so much white all the way around showing that they look startled eyes when you're not meaning them to look startled. So I'm going to adjust that. And then I have the pupil. I tend to exaggerate the pupil a little bit just to make it less startled again. There's always an highlight in eyes. Eyes are wet, and if you forget that eye highlight, it tends to look dull. Okay, so now that I have the pupil, or the iris and the pupils, I want to bring this lid down a little bit because it is looking a little startled, and then this lid looks correct. So this lady, well, first of all, I like to round the edges because there is a whole sphere happening behind these eyeballs, and we want to create that feeling of a sphere. And a lot of times kids will draw the line but not think of it as a round object, and those lines tend to look more oval. If you are one that struggles with that, then draw the whole circle and go back and erase those lines. Then she's got this really thick eyeliner happening, so I'm going to draw that in. I'm not going to do any shading details because I might need to go back and adjust something, and if I've gone ahead and shaded in all these details, it's really hard to fix that. Now this inner tear duct part, I drew that one a little big. Want to adjust that. And then you always have this upper lid, and sometimes people will forget this lid. And this lid really is important because it's there. And if you forget it, you're going to be missing something. Eyebrow, usually you go from tear duct up, or sometimes they're in a little. Her eyebrow is really low. And just basically straight across, very thin. And then I'm looking at it going, okay, I feel good about that. Let's start adding some detail. Now that my proportions are right, I do like to start on the left side because I'm right-handed. I don't want to smudge all this work on the left. Darken up this really dark, strong eyeliner. Oops. Eyeliner into the eyeball by accident. you can tell they've shaded just a little bit in these corners. And then always, always on your irises, there is always a dark line. Whether you have blue eyes, green eyes, brown eyes, you always have this kind of outline. And then these nice little lines from the inside out, and then you can shade, not too much. Eyes have this really iridescent, luminous quality, and so if I can keep that, it looks more lifelike. I always add a little bit of a shadow from the top because we do have a lid that's coming out over. Even if you don't see it, I tend to do that just because it's there. Sometimes you'll see creases under the eye. In this image we don't see any crease. It does look like there's a bit of shadow. They do have some flaring eyelashes. I am really careful with eyelashes not to do too many because then it just is overworked. And a lot of times I don't ever do eyelashes, and I don't prefer to do them below either, but I'll just give a couple. So that's the one side. I can tell right now I drew my eyes crooked. Look how I have this one lower, that one's higher, so I need to adjust that a little. It might not be able to fix it too much during this sketch because of time, but I'm going to go through and do my heavy outline, shade from the inside, do all those things I just did real quick. These pupils are so dark and really flat. Shade that in that way for me so it pops. Clean up any of these lines. The next set of eyes, if you want to keep going, and I apologize that those are crooked and I didn't catch it before, so let's just check this one. Same height, same down. I've got to adjust that to match the other side. Okay, this one, these are like big old startled eyes, and so her eyeliner is going to come above quite a bit. Sometimes it's hard to make things look symmetrical. Usually eyes aren't dead on symmetrical. Okay, and because they're startled, we've got the irises down here. And really pay attention to the size of the iris and the distance in the white area. Don't make it too far that it's unbelievable. Usually you don't see as much white as I've drawn here, so I'm going to adjust that. And then her pupils this time are smaller. Because she is startled, I'm okay with making them smaller, okay? And I'm going to adjust this area. I've done it a little too big. And then you go back through any details again. I want to be careful with the outlining of the eye. It needs to be smooth. See how some of these I have like a sharp angle? That doesn't happen. Your eyelids are very rounded curves, so make sure you fix that if you've done what I did there. They didn't draw any eyebrows on this time, on this eye, but you can add some. And eyelashes. she's got a little heavier down here. Okay, so the last eyes we're going to do, we have this like questioning eye thing going on here. So iris is right in the middle, here, right in the middle, here, and I want to make sure they're same size, same distance. I'm going to adjust the outside shape of this eye. Then you just see the inside here, erase this. Draw the iris, isn't too big on this one either. Make sure that's straight across from each other. Okay, so this one actually comes more straight across on the bottom. And more straight here. I'll make those adjustments. Okay, so she's got a little bit of eyelid here that comes down, and then this is all heavy eyeliner again. There's still a highlight even though her eye is closed, and I like to put the highlights in the same side on both eyes just to keep, you know, when a light's shining, it's usually from the same side on an object. So, and then the eyebrow's low because she has this side kind of crunched down here, and this one might be a little bit higher, and then she's got this kind of a crease thing happening. We're going to make these eyes a little darker. Okay, so this one actually looks a little dark. I think that's all I'll do because this one took a little bit more time. Feel free to go and do the other eyes. Same concept, just pay attention to where your irises are. The other three eyes just have different directions of the iris, maybe a little slightly different shape. I'm going to go back through and kind of darken up these eyebrows because I have such heavy darkness on the other ones, or on the eyes. Okay, good luck.